Hi, I'm Wendy Both. I am a model, a Reiki master, an intuitive guide, and I work with animals and people and the community.
Well, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
So for those who don't know you, maybe you can talk about like what you do and how would you introduce yourself to someone who don't know you at all?
So I am a Reiki practitioner, and I also do a bunch of different things. So there's a lot of different modalities that I bring into my Reiki sessions, because I believe in not only working on the physical, but also the emotional. So the Reiki takes care of the physical, some of the emotional, but then I also do intuitive guidance. And intuitive guidance is more like a medium, or I get messages where I hear them, or it's a sound, or it's a vision, or it's different ways these messages come in. So it becomes like a combination of Reiki, energy healing, which is usually when one of my clients will lay down and I go around with my hand positions, balancing out the chakras and the energies. And, some of my clients will hire me just for intuitive guidance. They have a list of questions and I see them on a weekly basis. So it's more like intuitive coaching. I work on animals, I work on people. Sometimes, a person hires me, but I'm really there for the animal, and it becomes like a catalyst, one for the other. And it's exciting to me because I never know what happens, when I walk through someone's door.
You were also like a supermodel.
I modeled when I was, how old was I? 15 or 16, 15 or 16, yeah. Because I'm originally from Holland, and my aunt had secretly entered me into a modeling competition, a national modeling competition on TV, and they asked me to go on, and I became second. And from that, I had a job in Miami, and I remember going to Miami, doing that job, and saying to myself, "That's it. I don't want to leave. I'm meant to be in the United States." So my parents allowed me to move to the United States, which to this day I'm still, grateful, but also surprised, at that age. I did a lot of campaigns and covers. And in the US, I did the cover of Shape, overseas, like Marie Claire covers, Harper's Bazaar, those type of covers. I did Victoria's Secret. I did the guest campaign with Anna Nicole Smith. It's when, supermodels like Cindy Crawford and big campaigns and, the modeling industry was just a lot different back then.
Right.
It was the modeling in Claudia Schiffer, which was the big guest model at the time. But everything has changed. Even still to this day, people say, "Oh, so to become a model, you have to be 5'9". And I said, "You used to be. That used to be the standard." I said, "But now things are changing and shifting. And what size do you need to be? Is it size 2, size 0? And I said, "As a matter of fact, no, that has also shifted." Which I love, the fact that the industry is changing, where diversity, older models, classic departments, which is why I'm kind of back. That's kind of how I got back into modeling, because my old agency started opening up the classic departments in the older range.
And maybe you can tell me about your ethnic background, because you have like such a unique look.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have a mix. So my mom is from Holland, and then my dad was born in Indonesia, but he's a mix of Indonesian and Indian. But I have really more Indian in me than Indonesian. So that's where the mix comes from.
Do you think that ethnic background influenced you intuitively or like culturally?
For sure, but my Indonesian grandmother was a psychic. And she had not professionally, where she was doing it as a job, but she had a lot of fears around it, and so caused her, because of the fear, to see only the negative.
What do you mean only see negative?
So when you have fear of energies or entities, right? Like even you and me sitting here, and let's pretend I had fear about this. So we could create an energy that's really not there. So we could say, "I think I saw something," and then you're like, "I saw something," and we create this fear, and we create this energy that really isn't there. So, but my grandmother saw this person is dying, that person is sick. She saw she got all these messages that she didn't want to relay to any of the people. And she stopped. So when I told her I was going this route, she said, "Oh, be careful." And I said, "But Grandma, I don't have any fears." For me, those messages don't come that way to me.
So for people who don't know, what is Reiki?
So Reiki is a form of energy healing, and it is, I'm just a conductor. The energy goes through me, through whoever, whether it's an animal or a person. to balances out the energy in the body, right? So how emotions can create blockages in certain areas of your body. So for example, stress sits usually in your solar plexus in your stomach. So just by placing the hands on or a little above the body, it helps energy either change the energy or leave the body.
But where does that energy come from?
We all have this energy. It's universal energy, right? It's channeling the energy through you, and it goes usually through the hands. So it's from above and below, comes together in your solar plexus, and then through your hands onto the person. Now, a lot of times I don't necessarily even need to use my hands, which is why I can be working on animals like tigers. I've worked on tigers before in a cage. I don't have to necessarily touch the animal, as long as there's an energy exchange. We all have that in us, and the capability of doing that.
The energy you're talking about is like what they call a ki or prana, or in yoga, right? Like it's the universal energy that makes the whole world go around.
Exactly, and everything is energy. We're all energy.
Okay.
You know, you and me, everything is energy.
What can Reiki do to a person, or how can we benefit from that energy?
Reiki helps with balancing the chakras and unblocking things that are blocked in your body, so can be caused from stress. So sometimes I have a client ask me, well, can you come and take care of my stomach issues, and that's it. And I said, well, I can, but we still have to figure out where they're coming from to begin with, because as soon as I leave, you may feel better in that moment, but when I leave and all the anxiety and stress is coming back, it's going to be sitting right there again, right?
It's not like one time and you're cured for life.
It's not one time and you're cured for life. It's something that you have to work. It has to be. It's got to be. You know. I mean, I can do my part, but you have to do your part.
So who do we have here?
We have Mary with us today. So Mary is another foster that I grabbed from a rescue that she was apparently hit by a car, and owner surrendered because they couldn't afford to pay for the medical bills that she had. So she had a broken hip, pelvis, and leg. Wendy's been instrumental in helping me with shifting some energy around. You know, she has a lot of inflammation. She's anatomically challenged now because, you know, her pelvis was broken. She only has one back leg, so it's not too easy for her to go potty sometimes. So yeah, with her we do energy balancing, bringing down the anxiety, and we do communication as well. A lot of the animals that I work on will just know what to do automatically. She loves Wendy, let me tell you. So the results that I've seen from Wendy have been great with my animals. She's really helped me to be able to steer them into directions that has helped their overall health, whether it's switching their foods or just knowing in general that there are certain stressors that they have in their life that maybe I wouldn't have picked up on. Personally, she's also helped me evolve tremendously, just picking up different blockages and energies in my body that I didn't know that I had, or maybe I knew that I had, but I was not listening to my own intuition. And she's really helped me to realize that a lot of things that I already might know about myself that I'm ignoring are there. And she's been really helpful in pulling those out of me and helping me to recognize them and have a different mindset.
How did you stumble upon Reiki and spiritual work from modeling?
I met this woman in a feng shui store somewhere in the valley.
Okay.
And I remember looking up online because I was looking for feng shui items for my home, and I felt like I needed something to lift me up, and my energy was kind of low. I was going through just a rough time at that moment, and I walked into that store, and a woman came up to me who was working behind the desk, and she said, you know, everything's going to be fine. She goes, I don't want you to worry. She goes, and I'm sorry that I'm telling you all this, but she says, you know what you would really benefit from? I said, what? She goes, oh, a friend of mine is a Reiki master, and she has this energy class. I had no idea what Reiki was in that moment. You have, you know, maybe you can take one of her classes. It's amazing. It's on the weekends at her house. And I said, yeah, why not? Give me your number. Give me her number. Called her right away. Went and saw her the next day. It was like a Saturday class, and I was fascinated by already what she was, teaching in that moment. It was just about energy and how you can protect yourself, that type of thing. And then at the end, she came up to me and explained Reiki to me, and I found it fascinating. So I said, yeah, why not? Let me sign up.
You know, it's kind of funny when things are already kind of lined up for you, and you're supposed to go that way, and there's momentum going. One push would just pushes so fast.
It pushes you so fast. So I teach people to listen and to see what messages and who are, where we're being guided to. So a lot of times we're on autopilot, right? We're looking down. Let's say you're in a grocery store and you're not looking up, you're looking down, and you're missing messages. Also, I teach people, you wake up in the morning and you know what your day is going to look like. But then go, I don't care, anything can change, and I'm open to it, because a lot of times rejection is protection. Mm-hmm. Right? You're stuck in traffic and you're never, you're not going to be able to make it to your appointment. That wasn't meant to happen. Or you're trying to call your doctor and he can't see you for the next 4 months. Maybe he wasn't the right guy. So when you start living your life that way, you start to just be open to all these different opportunities that come your way. When you're not attached to the future or the outcome of anything. You're like, this is what my day is going to look like potentially, but I'm open. Bring it to me.
That goes into what people talk about on law of attraction, having an intention on things. Mm-hmm. How do you have a purpose and set an intention while detaching from it?
Right. So So I believe in following your passion. So what makes you feel alive, and put energy towards that. Mm-hmm. And you can say, for example, if somebody says to me, I had a client say to me, well, I want to be a lawyer, and I said, okay, I want to be a lawyer or something better. Stay open. Right? How are you doing that? Well, I'm going to contact this and this and this person, but I want it to be that person. I said, that person or something better. Same with something materialistic. This car or something better. So you just completely stay open, even with relationships. So the end result is really, what do you want in the future? To be happy, that's it.
You were always kind of intuitive and kind of psychic?
Intuitive, yes, although I don't think I would ever call it that way. I was very interested in it. I always saw things, felt things, super sensitive. People always say, you're so sensitive. And now I say, yes, I am. And that's, part of the reason why I'm able to connect and tune in.
You do mediumship. What is mediumship for people who don't know?
So mediumship is communicating with the afterlife. So it's whether it's an animal that has passed on, or a loved one that has passed on, and a family member, and also I communicate with the guides. I call them my guides. Some people call them angels.
Spirit guides.
Spirit guides.
Higher self.
Higher self.
Since you've been doing mediumship for quite some time, what is your understanding of afterlife?
My understanding of afterlife, so there's some souls that will come back on this earth, mm-hmm. even after they've gone on to the next journey. And some will become guides or spirit guides to the people that are still living here in a physical sense. Which, for a lot of people, they say, how do you do this work? How do you do this end-of-life care with animals or with people? And you sit there and you go through, you don't have any feelings? Mm-hmm. And I said, for me, there's constant communication. So whether it's in this sense or they've already moved on, I don't really feel the loss. I feel there's still that connection.
So you do a lot about end-of-life care, for both human and animals?
Yeah, more so for animals.
More so for animals?
Yes. And the reason why is because a lot of times it's hard to tell if an animal is ready to go. Also, the owners aren't necessarily ready to let the animal go. And a lot of times an animal will still eat, will still wag their tail. And it's hard to know, are they in pain? Are they happy? Are they ready to go? So that's usually when I come in and I help the owner to understand, have a communication between the two of them. If they're in pain, if they're ready to go. And a lot of times, when I did a client recently, the dog was holding on for the owner. And it was really time to go.
I think a lot of people, when we become more aware of energy, or when we start thinking about life that way, people are always afraid of we have to get rid of certain negative energy, environment, and people out of your life. But how do you correctly judge that there are certain environments and people that show up in your life on purpose, as opposed to, okay, I don't need to associate? How do you decipher that?
Well, I always say the bigger the trigger, the bigger the growth. Okay. Right? So I usually have my clients look at your immediate environment. Who are your friends? Who are you close to? Out of those people, who trigger you at this moment? And why? And a lot of times there's always a mirror. There's a reason why somebody comes in your life, for you to it could be to set boundaries with that person. It could be because that person is a taker and you're allowing the behavior. So I always have them look at that scenario. right? And then the next step would be to communicate it. And then we see where the other person is at as far as where their communication is, where their level of, for example, if you have to set a boundary with a friend and the friend wants nothing to do with the boundary, that could sometimes mean, you may have to let go of that person for a little bit.
It's just always kind of hard to see, because there's always a discomfort in learning.
There's always a discomfort in learning, yes. No, for sure, I agree. But you can see when someone is toxic or when somebody is a taker and just takes and takes and takes. It's not necessarily them, it's also you allowing that. And so there's the lesson in not allowing it. And hopefully that relationship can continue to grow from you expressing how you feel and the other person giving you a safe space to express that. But a lot of times when that person is ready to express all that, the other person is not even there to even hear it, or maybe they don't care, and then listen, our relationship is really out of balance right now. I've expressed it, you're not giving me a safe space to communicate, and it's now it feels completely off balance. And sometimes it's okay to take a break, and then you come back again, because we continue to change.
Especially in big cities like New York and Los Angeles, people are spiritual, but I don't know if we actually do understand what it means.
But it's spirituality, I think it's different for everybody anyway, and it works different for everybody. And some people believe this, and some people believe in meditation, and some doesn't work for them. So I think it's kind of all over the place. I think when somebody says are you spiritual? Do you meditate? It's the first thing that people always say. Do you meditate? Yeah, but not really, not the traditional meditation. I meditate driving, for example, but that's what works for me. You know what I mean? So I always believe you find what works for you. It's the same with Reiki. I do Reiki a certain way. My original Reiki master that taught me, the classes, she does it completely different, and that's okay too. So finding your way in the spiritual world, what works for you, how you manifest. Do you believe in manifesting? Some people write things down for the full moon and burn it in a little, like a what do you call that? Not a tradition, a ritual. Some people need rituals.
Whatever works for you.
Whatever works for you, yeah.
What would be the most practical thing a person can do to, energetically clean and cleanse and be more balanced?
So for me personally, the easiest thing would be to burn some sage and to just walk around in the different rooms of your home. Something that I also use is one of these bowls. It also clears the energy, and I basically play it like this. And I walk around in the different rooms as well. So to clean my own energy, like when I come home from a busy day and I've seen a lot of clients, is to take a shower. I know it sounds simple, but it completely washes away and balances and grounds me. Sometimes walking around the block also helps, making sure I drink lots of water. So those are some of the easier things that I like to do. If I had a day that was I felt really drained and exhausted, additionally I would take my clothes off immediately. So I come home, because clothes also hold energy, take them off and put other clothes on, and I wash them.